love to see things in nature, first of all. I love going hiking, and I love seeing places that are very green, full of trees and grasses. And I love colors of spring and autumn as well. Aside from nature, I also love seeing beautiful cities, new cities that I haven't been to. And for example, I have lived in Kuala Lumpur for a while.
Okay.
And I remember seeing really beautiful landmarks like the Petronas Twin Tower. And I also like seeing people that I love. What about you, Max?
So just familiar faces, you mean? Like that? Well, I mean, I like to look at, for instance, I'm a very huge fan of comics. So that's one thing I like to look at because it gives me a perspective of a building, like a nice, a well-drawn building, something I can look at with like, that is being drawn with pen or marker. And there are definitely views of cities that I enjoy quite a lot. I enjoy the view of the Alhambra at night in Granada, Spain. So that's a place that is deep in my heart that I just
that's amazing.
love. Yeah. So what about other senses? A type of sound that you don't enjoy?
Right.
What is...
I live in a busy city, so my house is the window of my bedroom is like right next to the tram tracks.
Okay.
So I sometimes I wake up in the morning because of the sound of the tram passing by, and that's the sound I don't like.
Okay.
And so in a busy city, the chaotic sounds can be stressful, I think. So that's all I can think about for sounds that are unpleasant, let's say. What about you?
Well, I agree with trams being annoying, but I actually find people talking in a quiet place to be very annoying if I have to concentrate. And that's actually very unpleasant in some cases. If I had to think about something that I like or enjoy, I think that brown noise or those pure noise sounds that aren't really made in nature are very enjoyable. So I actually listen to these videos on YouTube. Like there are videos on YouTube where you can listen to just pure noise, and you just put it in, like you just wear headphones and it blocks off all other sounds, and it sounds like that. So that's something that is pleasant for me. I also like the sound of rain and people singing. So talking, no, but singing, yeah. What about you?
Right.
Like sounds that you enjoy?
So like you, I really enjoy sound of the rain as well, or natural sounds, sound of birds. I remember being in quiet places where I heard birds, and it was kind of very unusual living in a city in most of the time. I wasn't used to that, and it sounds very pleasant. And I would have to say music. I also sing in a choir, in an African choir, and I really love how when we put different sounds together, like we have different groups within the group, and when we put all of it together, it creates something amazing, and for me that's a very pleasant sound. I think smell is something that really stimulates our memory sometimes. Like we can smell things that can remind us of something way back in the past that we don't even think about. Speaking of pleasant smell, I would have to say my favorite smells are those of vanilla and lavender.
Okay.
So again, natural sounds, smells. And I'd have to say the sound of the smell of the rain when smell of the really natural smell of wet ground, wet grass. It's like
me
really
too.
pleasant, right?
I love that actually.
Yeah.
It's very peaceful.
It really is.
It feels like the earth is being cleansed.
Exactly.
And all of the dirty substances are just being washed away. That's the sensation that it gives me. So, especially for someone who lives in a city,
right.
There can be lots of unpleasant smells, lots of smells of pollution or just gas or smoke.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of unpleasant smell, they're all around in cities sometimes, depending on different areas and neighborhoods. But I think that it depends on the place, the type of place we live in, whether it's in the countryside or in a farmhouse or in a little town. So I think it really depends on the people around as well.
So what about tastes that, like, do you have any tastes that make you feel nostalgic of your hometown?
Oh, there are so many.
Yeah.
I think the smell of food really reminds me of my childhood, especially because I grew up in Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh, people eat a lot of rice.
Okay.
And so the smell of rice, it's like home for me. The taste of rice are something related to spices. Although I am not used to those tastes anymore, because I think you need to be used to eating spicy food. If you don't eat spicy food for a while, you kind of lose the habit and it becomes a bit too much.
Yeah.
But then a little hint of it kind of reminds me of home. And what about you? Do you have any?
So I'd have to think, yeah, I can't remember the last time that I had a waffle. It must have been so many years ago. So that is probably a reminder of home because I grew up in Canada.
Right.
So in Toronto specifically. So there isn't too much that I remember, but I do remember lots of the food that I buy at a supermarket, and that has a deep, I associate lots of feelings to that memory. Right. So waffles are definitely something that I like.
What's the main food in Canada? Is it? Or
that's
is there
a difficult
any?
question. I'm not sure I can say because it has a mixed background. So where I grew up, I actually ended up living in a neighborhood with and going to a school with people from Jamaica, people from Poland, Italy. I have an Italian background. So there was lots of different foods. Lots of
Right.
people like to eat a beef patty.
All right.
Yeah. So they call it Jamaican beef patty. So I don't know how to describe it. It's like a piece of like weird yellow bread with meat filling inside.
That
And it's spicy. It's really good.
Oh, wow.
Really tasty.
I totally get what you're saying about different types of people living in the same place, because I lived in Malaysia for 7 years, and it's like such a huge melting pot of different cultures and different food. So there were always Indian food around, Chinese food around, and the Indonesian, Malaysian style food around. So it was really nice to spend a lot of time getting familiar with different type of tastes and different dishes.